Welcome. Keep it. Jeff is selling our 50 tickets, and so get your 5s and 10s and 20s out because Jeff can really sell tickets. And we want to welcome back Chris, who missed last week, but he had a really good excuse. He'd been in the hospital for 2 or 3 days. I know that he checked out on Thursday. He just didn't get a chance to check out early enough to be able to do the makeup.
I was trying to get make sure.
But he's agreed with a musical background to do our invocation. And we'll get somebody to turn the music off sometime. Everybody, Chris.
Lord, thanks for this opportunity for fellowship, for our health. Thank you, especially for me. You put a scare into me that the goodwill and good feelings and prayers that were sent out were truly a blessing. Thank you again. Bless this food. Amen. Amen.
Good to have you back, Chris.
Thank you.
A couple of other things, I think, before we get going. Will has 2 tickets while you're out, your wallets are out at Versus. Will had 2 tickets for the Always a Bride bridesmaid performance on Saturday the 26th, which he's not able to use, and he wanted to turn it back into the club so that the club could auction it off. Now these are right in the front row, so that or someplace close.
Center balcony.
Balcony.
Yes.
Well, balcony goes for what? $50 a ticket, something like that. So,
I guess you haven't been, huh?
is there someone who's interested in doing like $25 for 2 tickets? Who will then be able to see Always a Bridesmaid? Okay, 25. Okay, 20. Robert, how do you do this?
Not easy, is it?
How about 20 if somebody's got change for $100 bill?
Oh,
Big man.
We'll work it out. Okay, let's hear it for Van. And since man gets it, that money will go into the pots of gold. Okay, is that a good idea? Sure.
I don't know, I gotta get changed.
Now this is a
5 or 5 for 10?
You got it? I should have figured you'd have it.
we must just sold another house today.
More money. That's all.
All right. Rotary Magazine, guys. This is the last time we're going to talk about the issue for this month. But I love the article on page 62. It's Wash and Learn, and the foundation is really getting behind not only water projects, but the sanitation part of it as well. Because you can't do one without the other. And for years, we emphasized providing water, but if the sanitation part of it isn't kept up, then the water part is, you know, it's kind of difficult to really sustain a community. And so they picked 5 countries: Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, India, and Kenya, and they'll be working a pilot project on WASH. Read this. I'm really impressed, and you always are. Once you get in and learn more about the Rotary Foundation, you get impressed with all the things that we do, and WASH is certainly one of the ones that's going to make a huge impact. This is kind of bittersweet. It's hard for me to call on Terry to do his member moments because, you know, Terry has decided to go from his active membership to an honorary membership as of the end of this month. But we definitely wanted to keep Terry in the club and close to the family, and that's why it's so important for us to have him as an honorary member. And we're so pleased that Deb was able to come today to be with him. But Terry's got a wonderful background that you're going to hear about through his member moments. Terry, could you come up and do that? while I try to find your M&Ms in my bag here. Let's hear it for Terry.
Well, thank you, Larry. This is a little bit unusual member moment. It's a swan song as well. So, what I'm going to try to do is go as fast as I can through my fascinating background, because I'd like to have a few minutes to say some words about my Rotary experience and words of thanks and goodbye. I was born in Chicago in 1935 and lived in the city till I was about 12, and then the family moved to one of a number of suburbs, and that's where I was raised. And I went down to the University of Illinois and Champaign-Urbana, and never came back. So that's the end of my Chicago period. My dad was a lawyer who worked for a big bank. There were two big banks in Chicago and lots of smaller ones. His was the Continental Illinois National Bank and Trust Company. It was very imposing. It no longer exists. It was bought up by Bank of America many years ago. But he worked in the trust department, so he was taking care of rich people's money, and he enjoyed doing that. He enjoyed his career very much. He was quite a guy, and he's one of my heroes. I'll talk a bit about him in a moment. But I went to Illinois. It was the only place I could afford to go to, but that was okay because it turned out to be a wonderful school. And I decided to major in chemistry, and it had one of the country's best chemistry departments, so that was great. I got married in the middle of my college years at age 20. Things were a little bit different then. And when I graduated, decided to go to graduate school. And I was a very good student, and I got good grades, and one of the faculty people I talked to for advice when I was thinking about graduate school said something. He was a country guy. He said something like, well, we send a lot of our boys to MIT and Berkeley, and they send us a lot of their boys, and we take good care of their boys, and et cetera, et cetera. All I had to do was decide whether I wanted to go to MIT or Berkeley. This is the good old days. I went home and told my wife, and I said, I think California might be fun. What do you say? She said, sure. So I went back and told Dr. Marvel that I'd like to go to Berkeley. He wrote a letter, and that was it. Always over. I had a wonderful time at Berkeley. It is indeed one of the best chemistry. Well, Berkeley excels in all kinds of fields, but chemistry is one of them. And I had the benefit of working for under the guidance of a faculty member who became a Nobel laureate. His name is Melvin Calvin, and he's famous for what's known as the Calvin cycle, which explains how photosynthesis works in gory detail at the molecular level.
Oh, yeah.
I had nothing to do with that research, but I benefited from being part of his entourage. It was great. After Berkeley, my first kid was born as I was finishing up, Julie, my eldest, and I went off to Brookhaven National Laboratory as a postdoc for 2 years. And that's where my second and third kids were born. And so after 2 years, and Brookhaven was a great place. At that time, it was an Atomic Energy Commission lab. The AEC is now just part of the Department of Energy, but in those days it was freestanding. And it was a good experience. And I decided I wanted to see what industry was like. That made me a bit of a heretic, because most of my friends and colleagues and mentors at Brookhaven were kind of academic snobs. And they didn't think it was such a great idea to go into industry, but I wanted to try it. And so I accepted an offer from Merck, the pharmaceutical company in New Jersey. And I figured I'd stay around 2 or 3 years and see what industry was like. Well, I stayed 30 years. And I found out what that industry is like, and it was a wonderful experience. I could go on, I don't have time, but I could go on real length about my Merck career. Suffice it to say, I started out as a chemist in the research labs, and after about 5 years, I transitioned to the computer organization. And that's where the last 25 years of my life were spent. I was involved with using the small computers that became available. This is before PCs. This is the mini computer age in the 60s. And I was involved in what is called laboratory automation and eventually factory automation. And eventually I wound up running a group that provided all computer services to Merck Manufacturing around the world. And that was nifty because I traveled all over the place and I enjoyed it very much. After I retired, I enrolled at Rutgers University in New Jersey as a part-time student. And I wanted to really work on two things. Foreign language, I had become embarrassed by being ignorant of any foreign language as I was traveling about. So I really wanted to learn French. I took a lot of French. And modern biology. I didn't want to retread as a chemist, but I wanted to learn modern biology. And I did. I got appointed as a visiting scientist in one of the science departments at Rutgers, which meant, among other things, I got a faculty parking sticker. That was the best. And after about 8 or 9 years of my retirement, my wife Sue, who was an attorney in a small firm in our town in New Jersey, decided she was ready to retire, and we picked Carolina Trace. After looking all over the place, we wanted to be on water, and we looked at lots of water, but we chose the Trace, moved there in 2001. I'm very, very pleased with that decision. I love North Carolina, and I'm very, very happy to be here this stage of my life. Personally, my main hobbies were sailing at an earlier age, but then I got into flying. I was a private pilot, and I was a very active private pilot. I amassed almost 3,000 hours before I quit about 8 years ago. That's a lot for a private pilot. The reason I had so many was because I made lots of long trips all across the country, coast to coast, Mexico, the Bahamas, the Canadian Maritimes. I really had a good time flying, and I miss it. There was time to quit when I quit. There are times, this is it's time to quit now.
No.
Okay, now, I really want to stop there and just say a couple words about my Rotary experience, because it's been wonderful. One of my heroes is a gentleman who's passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. His name was Grant Buttermore. He was a lot like Cliff Peake, 50-year plus Rotarian, district governor. He was the senior partner in my late wife's law firm up in New Jersey. And he was a wonderful man. I really admired him. He was a very active Rotarian. I didn't know anything about Rotary except once his pancake fundraiser once a year, but I admired him. So when I had a chance, when I was asked to join Rotary here, Paul Dauphin recruited me. Grant's influence on me really had a lot to do with my accepting that offer. And he visited us a few years after we moved down here, and he came to one of the San Lee Rotary meetings and gave a nice little talk. Just a great guy. The Rotary experience was really very meaningful to me. Some of it, a lot of it, involved Larry. A friendship exchange to Mexico City. When was that? 08, 07? Yeah, my wife and I joined a bunch from the various clubs here and Center City and had a wonderful week in Mexico City with our counterparts, Los Torres Satellite, right? And Deb and I, more recently, were on a Rotary friendship exchange to Australia right before we got married 4 years ago, and that was a wonderful experience. So we really enjoyed the Rotary years. I had no idea about the international activities of Rotary when I joined. I knew you did good deeds locally. I knew there was a lot of fellowship, but I didn't know about the international aspects. Well, eventually I found out and participated to a little bit in some of them. So it's been a very, very nice, positive experience for me. And Deb's been to 2 district conferences, and as I said, to Australia, so she's really plunged into Rotary during the last 4 years. And I think I'll stop there, Larry.
Well, we're not going to let you stop. Usually we give 3 bags of M&Ms, but I'm only going to give 2, with the thought that sometime in April you've got to come back and pick up your third bag. Because we need to have you stay connected. And we also, many of you probably don't know this, but you became a member of the Water and Sanitation Rotarian Action Group before I did. Because one of the things he wanted to concentrate on was international water, and maybe that came from our trip
Well, that certainly had a big part of
when
it.
we went to Mexico. And we were providing plain drinking fountains, clean water to, I think it was 144. We finally wound up with 144 schools in Mexico. But you've been such a loyal Rotarian locally and internationally. We are going to miss you, but I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to be after you to stay connected when you can. We know you do a lot of travel. We know there's been a lot of personal situations that you've been involved with this last couple of years. I think one of the things you're going to miss the most is your kids over in Ingram.
You're right about that.
If there's any way that you can continue to mentor over there, that'd be wonderful.
If they would have me, I'd be happy to.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah.
You got a reputation over there.
I love that program.
Okay.
I've done it about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, Nolan, did you hear that? He'll continue. Okay, let's hear it for you.
One final word of thanks to you guys in the Jonesboro Club for the warm way you accepted the San Lee refugees. It was and is a great experience, and I'm happy to see that our San Lee stalwarts are flourishing in leadership positions and so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was great for both clubs.
Yeah.
It really brought energy because the both clubs coming together. And it's a big part. Thanks, Terry. Terry and Deb, at the end of the meeting, would you mind standing at the door and just hugging and kissing at everybody? Well, okay, hugging's fine.
Sure.
Some quick announcements. Rotary brochure. Even though Stacy is up in West Virginia or in Virginia, in Williamsburg, she's sending information back to us. And this is the first draft of our brochure that she did for us. It's really, really good. We have to go through and decide how we're going to maneuver some things around. But we're about ready to publish our brochure thanks to her. She's also got, just to let you know, she's now the marketing director and events coordinator for Colonial Heritage Golf Club. And Rotary meets at her club.
Oh, fun.
So she will be connecting very soon and has invited us all up there. I'm not sure if the green fees are going to be free, but she's going to make a deal for us to come visit. And we will, in the fall, I hope we can have a group that will go up and see Mike and Stacy. Neil, please come up. You weren't able to be here, but we were bragging on you last week for the work that you did for Stop Hunger Now. I work out with Neil a lot at the club, and Neil shows up in a t-shirt that he got probably about 15 years ago from one of the hunger walks that we were sponsoring back at that time. I think it's time for a new t-shirt.
Oh, I like that color. Oh, nice.
You know, we had such a terrific turnout, and Neil did such a great job coordinating it that we really appreciate that. I want to see that on, because that could be a nice night shirt as well.
Yeah, and as you can see, I have been working very hard at stopping hunger. I was just telling Doug that I need to lose a little bit of that now.
Neil, thank you for your help with that. Again. Okay, the spelling bee. You probably all realize that our Rotary group took the bronze medal on Monday with 32 teams competing. It was great. The words they used at the end I had never heard. And I don't know if any of our team had ever heard. Robert, had you heard of any of those words that you had to try to decipher?
No.
And so there was a lot of teams that hadn't had balloons popped, but when they showed up with 4 or 5 words, which you guys got the first couple of them, and I'm going in the back, and how did they pull that off? But then they got, you know, some of the words were 15 letters. Anyway, congratulations, guys. I want to thank everybody who's been trying to get on My Rotary. Has anyone who's trying to get on got a confirmation back that you're on? Because there's a problem that they have with the database, and I've got to try to correct it with them. So Janice, did you get a confirmation back? Do you know? Okay.
I still gotta get started.
Okay. All right. Well, I know we've got at least 2 and maybe 3 that should be on, and we'll continue to work on it. Character Plus was fantastic this last week. Nash, thanks you very much for coming over and being a part of that and joining the next year. She's got some great ideas for kindness for next year that we'll talk about. Pots of Gold. Richard, again, won. He's a three-peat now.
Don't say Richard, say grandkids.
Grandkids. Okay. And Richard, have you had an opportunity to buy your 5 more tickets yet?
The family has got 5 more tickets. I figure I'm going to the college fund now.
But thank you, Richard. And Pots of Gold, we really need you to turn the money in because we're getting close to the scholarships presentations, and we're planning to give away $3,000 of scholarships in May and June. So please take care of your Pots of Gold. Sanford Block Party, April 9th. You want to say anything about that, or you want to?
Yeah, real quick, we're going to be doing the Sanford Block Party again. I'm helping to organize that. It's going to be on Woodland Avenue between Cortland and Hughes Streets. If you know where Wilson and Reeves Attorneys is, that's the staging area. That's at the corner of Cortland and Woodland. Please come out Saturday. We're going to feed you breakfast. We're going to feed you lunch. There's going to be a taco truck there and hot dogs and hamburgers. And we have 11 homes that will be doing light work and a little bit of rehab too on the exterior. So once again, and Rotarians have been part of this in the past, but we welcome you to come out. You're not going to have a specific skill set to come out, just the willingness to help.
April 9th.
Thanks. April 9. April 9.
April 9th.
Saturday, April 9.
Will we have a sign up next week, Jack?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I want to stay beside him so that way I can be in the movies. I will be out there videoing.
Oh, good.
So I'll be out there with another camera doing the video.
Don't anybody
I'm going to
get
give you a
hurt?
rake and a shovel too, Terry.
That'll do too. Will I be Green Acres?
Yeah, Green Acres will be fun.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Terry.
Quick report on pets. David and Doug spent the weekend up there with pets. Either one want to say anything about it?
Go ahead, Dave.
Just a great training event.
All the president-elects from how many?
There were 500, so 500 so there.
Over 500 people.
Yeah, over 500 people, president-elects. It's a great organization. It's this weekend. I actually bought into it.
Yeah, no choice.
I know I have, but
Darn good thing.
yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. The term now is to buy it, and I bought into it. And it's a great conference, and I'm looking
I
forward
found
to it.
out there's 2 types of Rotarians. There's a real Rotarian and there's a rhino. Rotarian in name only.
That's right.
And I've been a rhino for 8 or 9 years, and now it's like, whoa. We had the international president there who lives in Chattanooga, and it was pretty interesting because, you know, I don't think anybody has ever seen an international president unless you've been to some of the big conferences or whatever. But I thought it was terrific.
It was.
Yeah, thank you guys, and we look forward to the next couple of years under your leadership and the fact that I'm retiring in the end of June. Pets did that, district conference, we talked about that. COC, the All-Star Game, hope you had a chance to see that or read about it. I put an extra strong belt on today because Meg was a top guard and guarding real closely, and guarded one guy so closely that she pulled his pants down. So I've been sitting next to her. And then she says, I'm hearing about this every single minute of the day. Kayaking, David, Dad,
Yeah, I'll pass around the sheet, and I'll be bringing it for next several meetings. But you need to check your schedules. Saturday, May 7th, 8:30 in the morning, we'll meet at Camelback Bridge, and then we'll be shoveled to where we put in. And it's about an hour and a half, 2-hour float down the Deep River.
Yeah.
So,
That sounds
We
we
really want to
did
do
it
this
last
for
year, had a lot of
We're
fun.
second.
It's a great experience, but we want to do it for Chad while he's in this transition before he's able to come back to us. He's got to do well in his other jobs and businesses he's got, so let's do that for him.
Very slow river.
Okay, and Van, we'll do this at the end.
Okay, I haven't eaten yet, so.
Yeah, okay.
That'll be fine with me.
Grab a bite to eat. And David, do you want to introduce Meg? Hold on.
I will. I would have her on my team. I love to keep this place. I'm here to introduce the speaker. You guys know her as the director of this organization here. I know her as the mother of 4 wonderful kids that I have seen over at the elementary school, over at Edwards. And this is a fabulous woman. So I'm going to let her get up and talk about that. But I know she's always recognized as something, but she's always the mother of her kids. And you have 4 wonderful kids. Get up, please.
Thank you. January 2nd, 2002, I came to Sanford, not knowing a single soul, to do a volunteer program for Habitat for Humanity. And the volunteer program was supposed to be a year long, at which time when that was finished, I was going to go back to Washington, D.C. and continue my work. And I've worked in television for about 4 years up in D.C. before I came down here. So I started at Habitat for Humanity as a volunteer, and Teresa Dew Kelly was the director of Habitat at the time, and she said, Meg, if you don't get involved in the community, you're going to be miserable for the next year. So I was in my early 20s, and so I joined the JCs, which is a community service and professional development organization for 18 to 40-year-olds. Went to that first meeting, I was scared to death, I didn't know anybody, but was just a great decision. And so being with the JCs, I was able to really get involved in the community service projects, and meet people in Sanford. And we were volunteering at Relay for Life. We were selling hot dogs. And there was this kind of cute guy selling hot dogs with me. And 6 months later, we got engaged. And so I ended up never leaving Sanford and going back to DC. Which is the best decision I ever made, not only staying in Sanford, but just have a wonderful husband. And we have 3 adopted and 1 biological child, 4 little boys. They are all in the elementary school. So after being in the JCs for several years, my Habitat volunteerism stopped, and I started working at Lee County Industries. And my director at the time, and Lee County Industries was a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and so the director at the time said, I want you to go through the Sanford Leadership Program with the Chamber. I didn't really know what that was, but she was my boss, and I said, okay. And that's where I met Bob Joyce. And I learned over that 10-month program how the city government worked, how the county worked, how the school system worked, state government, demographics. I can't even tell you how many topics that Bob covered in that Sanford leadership class through the chamber. And I was just amazed. And so again, I was just more ingrained in the community and more ingrained in the business community because of that Sanford leadership class. From that experience, I decided to become a chamber ambassador, which is the volunteer arm of the Chamber of Commerce. And for years I spent volunteering for the chamber, going out and visiting businesses, taking them their Lee County Living magazines, taking businesses their Chamber of Commerce signs, certificates, indicating they were members of the chamber. And I met so many people through being a chamber ambassador. Attended all of the events. Just really the favorite part of my day or of my week was when I was with chamber ambassadors and at chamber events. So lo and behold, about 6 months ago, I get a phone call from the CEO of the Sanford Area Growth Alliance to see if I would be interested, to first tell me that Bob was going to be moving into the role of Economic Development Director, leaving the Chamber of Commerce Director position open, and would I be interested in applying? My mouth about hit the floor. I could not believe it, and I was like, am I interested in applying? Are you kidding me? It's my favorite part of the day when I do chamber events. So that was 6 months ago, and so I have been the chamber director for 6 months now. It's been interesting, it's been exciting. I have huge shoes to fill. I will never fill them. I will never have all the knowledge that Bob has. But it's been exciting and it's been fun, and we've gotten a lot accomplished over the last 6 months. Just the Small Business Expo, the Chamber Banquet, all of the networking events that the Chamber has, being able to present the Small Business of the Year Award. Just an exciting time. Now, about a year and a half ago, and I'm probably going to get some of these details wrong, the Economic Development Corporation and the Sanford Area Chamber of Commerce merged into one organization. And you can kind of see a progression. Now, the Chamber and EDC started way before 1994, but these are the logos of the two organizations at that time. The logos then changed, and then the merger began. And so economic development focuses more on large industry expansion, bringing industry to Sanford. Chamber of Commerce focuses more on small business. But together, we are all focused on business, recruitment, and expansion. So it made sense to bring the two organizations together for one unified voice for Lee County to grow our economic base. This is an organizational chart of the Sanford Area Growth Alliance. Many of you have heard of it called SAGA. There's of course the SAGA Board of Directors, which is made up of many of our stakeholders. So folks from the city, from the county, from the school system. Then there's private industry that has invested into this organization. Some of our private investors are on the board of directors. So then there's the CEO of the Sanford Area Growth Alliance, and that's Joy Thrash. And then I'm the chamber director, Bob is the EDC director. And we also have, down at the bottom, the membership coordinator and receptionist, our office operations program manager, events manager, and marketing manager. And so with that merger and the investors that are involved, we were able to expand the staff that was available to work on these resources to be able to recruit and expand industry and small business. The SAGA team as a whole, it's not just that organizational chart. It's not just the board and the staff members. The team consists of course, the board of directors and staff, but also the volunteers. I mentioned that ambassador program. Committees. Our committees are finance, economic development, product development, existing business, marketing, and marketing. And then we have our stakeholders, our investors, and our chamber members. And that's who makes up the team. That's the whole community. So the whole community is part of the SAGA team to work together for economic growth. We also partner with the community college, Lee County schools, City of Sanford, Town of Broadway, and all of Lee County, our agricultural community, and the Research Triangle Regional Partnership. The Research Triangle Regional Partnership brings us a lot of leads for potential industry relocation to Lee County. Now, We follow what we call a program of work, which is what you see in the middle, because every organization needs to have a focus and a goal so that we're all working towards the same thing. Because with all of those people involved, we've got to be focused. And so we're focused by our program of work. And I know it's hard, probably you may not even be able to read the wheel that goes around, but essentially the program of work, those are the goals. And so you can see them here. The goals of the program of work: new business recruitment, market Lee County, education workforce development and leadership development, retain and expand business, small business and entrepreneurial development, develop the visitor center, enhance quality of life, product and infrastructure development, and agricultural development. So those are the 9 goals of the program of work. So those goals, it's a lot, that's a lot. Those goals are actually broken down into 35 strategies, and then those 35 strategies result in over 100 action items. Now we have 6 staff and over 100 action items. So we really rely on our community partners to help us get to and achieve those 100 action items. Are all of those going to happen in 1 year? Not a chance. I'm going to give you an example of how this works. So one of the goals is to develop visitor services. One of the 35 strategies is to market Sanford as a destination location, to get people here from outside the county to participate in events and activities that we have here in Lee County. Because the more people we bring in, the more money we bring in. And then the action for this strategy, for this goal, is to seek the expansion of the occupancy tax to fund tourism promotion. So what Bob and some other folks at Saga have been working on for years is to pass the occupancy tax, which is a tax for when you stay in a hotel. So is that going to affect our local residents? For the most part, not, because most of us are living at home and not staying in a hotel. Hopefully. So looking forward, developing a unified marketing brand, we are constantly trying to let people know Growth Alliance is the merger of the economic development and the Chamber of Commerce. So on a daily basis, people are asking me to explain how does this work, what is this merger, what is Saga. So developing that unified marketing brand, looking forward, developing a visitor center, which I just talked about, and then updating our program of work. There's always things that we can add to and take away from that program of work based on things that change in the community. Now, since I'm Chamber of Commerce, I get to talk a little more about Chamber of Commerce. So we advocate for small and existing businesses. We provide member business-to-business networking and small business development. So advocating for small and existing businesses. Just one example of something that we're doing is working with the Department of Transportation on signage, especially on the 421 bypass, ensuring that the word Sanford are on those signs so that people don't bypass Sanford and truly don't even realize they've gone past the city of Sanford. As well as working with businesses to get some signage that says, turn here for Chick-fil-A. Because once they turn for Chick-fil-A, then they see all of the other retail, all of the other restaurants, they stop and get gas. But right now there's a signage issue, and so that's something we're working on to help our small businesses. Small business development, we work kind of through a referral process with the Small Business Center, the Small Business Technical and Development Center, the industrial training at the community college, and so a lot of that is connections that we're making with resources that are already in the county, because we don't need to replicate what we already have. let's see, we currently have 560 chamber members, so 560 businesses in Lee County that are members of the chamber. The larger your chamber, the better of a voice we have to get things changed. Our goal is 600 members by the end of 2016. I spoke about our volunteer ambassador program. In 2015, they volunteered collectively over 520 hours. We have 50 events scheduled for this year. That is almost one a week. That is a lot of events. Our events include things like networking events, public policy luncheons, business after hours. There's a morning networking event called the AM Buzz. There's usually between 25 and 40 businesses represented at that monthly morning network event. The Sanford Leadership Class, the small business banquet or the chamber banquet that we have, and then we have a new series of business roundtable discussions, and each month is a different topic. So this month the topic is human resources. So we don't just have somebody come in and give a lecture. They come in and give a small presentation, and then they facilitate a roundtable discussion with the businesses that are in attendance so that they can learn and share from each other. In 2015, we had 2,400 people in attendance at chamber events. I just mentioned the Build series, which is the small roundtable discussions. It's called the Build series, and I'm just going to real briefly, I know I'm out of time. Economic development focuses on business recruitment and expansion, workforce development and education, and marketing the community. Between 18 and 20 active projects. Active project means it's either a new or an expanding industry that Bob is working with. Some of the leads that Bob gets for economic development come from the Economic Development Partnership from North Carolina, the regional partnership, the Research Triangle Regional Partnership, and then there's also site selectors who will actually call Bob and say, hey, we're maybe interested in Lee County, maybe not, I don't know. Can you send us information? And so then we pull together all of the information, and every single industry wants different information. They might want to know some statistics on the school. We had an industry the other day that all they wanted was, what are your arts and parks and rec? That's what they wanted to know. They were looking more at quality, what type of quality of life do we have here in Lee County. So every industry wants something different. They might want to know about water and sewer. They might want to know about building availability. Since 2013, 17 relocation or expansion projects, which resulted in 480 new jobs and $65 million in investments. I think that's it I have for you. So obviously I'm passionate about the Chamber of Commerce. I think that merging the Chamber with economic development is just hugely beneficial for our community as a whole. And I thank you all for coming, and I'm happy to attempt to field any questions that you might have. And I asked Bob to be here to be my backup.
One of the things I think we could do for you, and I hope this is working, we're buying a lot of our recognition badges, things like that, from Libby Do over at Faith Promotional.
Mm-hmm.
And I just asked, when I was in there buying a plaque, I said, are you a member of the chamber?
Good for you.
Because we would like to see that you support the community too. Now, I believe she then picked up the phone and called you. I don't know.
We've been in close communication. We're getting there.
Getting close?
Yeah.
Well, when we buy the next one, I'll find out what.
Okay. Be sure to follow up with that.
But I think we could all do that. When you're in a business, and we're all really part of the community, obviously. So you can support it by saying, by the way, are you a chamber member? Because I don't see the sign here, and I think that might go from, what, 560 to 600
Yes.
very
Yes.
quickly.
Yes, thank you.
If we can grassroots that kind of thing.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you having me.
I think you're doing a terrific job. As David said, your kids are just wonderful. We see them all the time over at Edwards. They're leaders. There's no question about that. Now they're following their mom. We give at our club a donation to Polio Plus on your behalf, and so we actually just sent that. That check went in, didn't it, Nolan?
It's in the mail.
Well, it's on the way. Okay. I want to thank Joy for being, well, wait a minute. No, it's your turn. Before I thank anybody, it's Van's turn.
Joy, thank you so much for joining us today. She is from the Sanford Rotary Club. Let's give her a big round of applause. The only other guest we have is Deborah Mullins, Terry's wife. Let's give her a big round of applause. Has anybody got any announcements or brags that they want to share with the club today? Okay, Terry.
I'm not done yet.
Right.
One last brag. Deb and I last weekend went up to Pennsylvania, a bit north of Philly, to acquire a new camper van. And it is really a nice camper van. We bought an old one a year and a half ago, and we loved using it, but we wanted something a little bit bigger, a little shinier, and so on. So we got it, and it's now it's in our garage down here. And,
So you want us to use it too?
Yeah, I think I could make a deal.
Put Rotary up in front.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I've got $1 to contribute.
Terry will have the rental rates.
Terry, thanks for sharing that with us. Best to travel with you. It's
Thank you.
fantastic. I love camping.
We
too.
got a fleet of them now, don't we? Doug's got a big one. How big is yours?
I have a fifth wheel, 30-foot fifth wheel.
Okay. We're going to have to get a special parking lot.
I got a 44-foot horse trailer.
I didn't get my. Hey, you can't.
I can change your horse, that works.
I was wondering whose money that was.
Oh, well.
Close enough.
That's all right. It's donated. I never win anything.
Oh, man.
We got a big pot today.
Hey,
We
Mike.
collected $100
Go ahead,
today.
you
So.
get it.
All right.
So the winner gets $50. Meg, pick one out and read the last 5.
Oh, that's 5. 59380.
How much did he win?
$50.
60 bucks.
That's a big one right there.
Anything else going back in the pot? Kevin?
Good job.
Okay, sure. Here's the pot to go on.
I love you, Meg. I love you. I love you. Last Thursday. This Thursday's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Meg.
It's only right.
I'm in like Flint.
We saw him placing those stickers right up in the Okay. Joy, thank you for being with us. And Debbie, thanks for being with us too. Kevin, you gotta lead us in the four-way test.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. Four-way test. First, is the truth.
It is fair to all concerned. Will build goodwill and better friendships. Will be beneficial to all concerned. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey guys,